from the Jewish scholar Rashi. Here's what Rashi said. Here's what I was trying to explain from Rashi's point of view. He said the earth was void, meaning no form yet, in the Genesis account. And then the second verse is a parenthesis. And then he says, God said, let there be light. At the beginning of creation of heaven and earth, when the earth was desolate and void, and there was darkness, then God said, let there be light. That's how the creation account occurs. It doesn't seem that way in reading the English translation, but in the Hebrew it shows that. This verse does not appear in order to show the order of creation. What it's doing is the word Bereshit appears in the scriptures so that in the beginning God created the heaven and earth should be translated as in the beginning of God's creating heaven and earth. Creation is organization. So the earth already existed. God organized it into a globe. See how that works? The earth is tohu vavohu. It's just formless chaos out there. He did not create it from nothing. He grabbed the elements and put them together as the earth's shape. It's just like when we build this piano. We didn't take that wood from nothing. We went and took down a tree and organized it. We sliced it, we cut it, we shaped it, we measured it, we put it all together and made that piano.
Wait, so you say that things putting together, which I understand, but then you said before that it was water. I'm confused now.
The water is the deep. In the creation account, when it says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. That's simply part of what was already in existence before the earth was created. The earth and heavens in Genesis is not God's first creative act ever. It's just a continuing drama that has been going on forever. Many earths and many heavens have been created before ours. And many earths and many heavens will be created after ours is destroyed. And that was this idea you were asking about, the assembly of older worlds to create this world. That's a poetic way of saying once something wears out, it's thrown onto the slag heap, right? Then you take the junkyard stuff and reorganize it into something else useful. That's the theme, that's the idea. And that is an early Christian teaching. In fact, they actually taught...
Cycles.
Yes, recycling. That's a great analogy. Yeah, the earth, the worlds are recycled in the early Christian cosmology. That's perfect. That was the word I was looking for. Yeah.
C.S. Lewis covers that basically in The Magician's Nephew.
Pardon?
In The Magician's Nephew, C.S. Lewis covers that very briefly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like nicer terms.
What we get confused with in the Genesis account, because of this creation ex nihilo, is, for one, it's the very first verse of the Bible. You know, this is the beginning of the book. It's the very first verse. And it's interesting that it starts out, Mormons, it starts out, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. That's God's first act. No, it's not. Because the second verse is a parenthesis. And what does it say? Now the earth was formless and empty. It's already there. It's just chaotic.
I get that, I just don't get the whole water thing.
That is the primordial substance that God didn't have to create. It's already there. He just simply grabbed it and pulled it aside, and it caused the dry ground to appear, as Genesis says. Nowhere in the Bible does it say God created the water. It's already there from previous creations, from previous existence. Did that help or hinder?
I think it helped a little bit.
This is not an ultimate creation where this is the dividing line. And God is here, and he says, okay, I'm going to break through the chaos and create something. This is my first creation. That is not what Genesis is teaching. This is not the first world made. Hey, we know geologically, how old's the world? You remember your geology lessons?
Mm-hmm. 4.7 billion.
4.7 billion years old. How many light years can we look into the past?
Quite a lot.
Oh, baby. And what are we seeing? We're seeing what existed as the past, but we are seeing tens of billions of years ago. The light from what was back then. Obviously, this earth isn't the oldest thing in the universe. Heavens no. This was not God's first creation. He had been creating worlds forever before he created our earth. And then, in the council of the gods, the plan came, well, what are we going to do with all these spirits? Well, let's send them to earth. Let's give them a test. So then we came to earth. But we are not the first earth. The Christians argue that that is what this is. But that can't be. That is physically, I'll say it in 2 words, as a famous politician said, that is impossible. So much for our politicians, right? That was funny, laugh, people. So, with that in mind, when was the first creation?
Eternity.
Huh?
It's eternity. We don't know.
We don't know. Why don't we know?
Because it's
Because
eternal.
nobody told us.
Did you hear him?
It's eternal.
Very good.
Didn't start
It
it.
is eternal. In infinity, in eternity, in eternal. How did Joseph Smith put this?
Things always start.
Interestingly enough, in the King Follett Discourse, how did Joseph Smith put this? He was standing there and he was trying to say, I'm showing you that you also are as eternal as God. And he pulled off his ring. Yeah, pulled off his ring. Now this is a symbol for eternity. It's not eternity. But there is no beginning and there is no end to a circle. It is eternal. Now, in the eternal scheme of things, you can have a beginning and an end. But that is not the beginning and end. Because there could have been an infinite amount of beginnings and endings before our beginning and ending. Are you following me?
Yeah.
See what I mean? In eternity, it's infinite. There can be an infinite amount of beginnings and endings. And that's what Joseph Smith taught. He said it really is eternal. And the world couldn't grasp it. Now, along comes one of my heroes, George Cantor, in the 1880s. And he was the first mathematician to actually discover infinity as such. Now, the scriptures call it eternity. We've always thought eternity is a long time. I mean a long time. We live to be an average of 75 years old. That is nothing. I'm mad. I'd love to live 10,000 years. Man, the books I could read in 10,000 years. Whoa, yeah, baby. Just think how many push-ups you could learn to do in 10,000 years if you could keep your health. Yeah. Well, in eternity, in infinity, there virtually is no beginning and no end. It goes on forever. In the process, there's an infinite amount of infinity. And that's what the world can't grasp until they got to George Cantor. George Cantor showed there really is infinities. Einstein showed the speed of light, 282 miles per second. That's how fast the speed of light goes. That's almost as fast as I can run the 100-yard dash, people. 186,282 miles per second.